Good morning. Cooking, cutting up, keeping it real. Just getting a few things started this morning. Wanted to check in with y'all, see what y'all are doing. It's 7:15 here, and I have about a 5-gallon bucket of Roma tomatoes, and I'm gonna make Aunt Libb spaghetti sauce this morning. But I thought I would chat with y'all for just a minute and have some coffee on this Saturday. It ain't Friday and it ain't Sunday, it's Saturday. Anyway, for you guys that have been following the page, you know that Janet, Another Planet, is here. My dear friend and tech consultant for the page. And we had the best time yesterday. We had the privilege of going into Replacements Limited and getting a behind-the-scenes tour. There will be a video posted at some point today, I hope, that shows, you know, what we saw and what we heard when we went in the back of the huge business. Let me chat for a minute. I'll turn y'all around. And let's see who's up. What's up? Who's up? Good morning, Tara, and good morning, Kim and Karen and Lynn. Join me in the kitchen with some coffee. Good morning, Susan. I hope you're doing well. We have got today, I have a baby shower to go to for a dear friend's daughter this afternoon in our area. Good morning, Brenda, and good morning, Joyce. And yes, Brenda, I'm up early. I was up at 6:15 and went ahead and got myself ready for the day so I could be on target for what I need to do today. Good morning, Raina. Good morning. Good morning, Angela, and good morning, Lily and Tara. Good morning. So I'm going to put this spaghetti sauce together so I can be canning that as we do our whatever we're going to do today. Good morning, Dorothy. Good morning, Elisa. Good morning, Kimberly. Good morning, Jeanette. We worked yesterday, Janet and I, on the vlog, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 hours. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes with tech. To be able to post videos for you guys. Good morning. I'm only up because my dog Molly needed to go outside. Diane, my dog's still asleep. I haven't heard her stir in her kennel, so I went ahead and got my tomatoes started this morning. My oldest son, Drew, picked them for me yesterday, thankfully, because, listen, my back and stuff ain't what it used to be, so if they'll pick them, I'll put them up. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll wash them and put them to good use and share. You know, my oldest is on his own. So when I make spaghetti sauce or salsa, I always make enough that I can send him a couple jars home too. Dinner, I don't know what I'm doing for dinner. Maybe chicken with some spaghetti sauce, like marinara, or like chicken marinara over rice or over pasta. I don't know. I'll have to check with Janet on that. I love having her here, and it's been fun to be in the kitchen together and to do some adventurous stuff together for the page. So stay tuned. There's going to be a giveaway again today at some point, and when Janet gets up, she'll kind of get me on target of what we're going to do today for the page. So y'all stay tuned, and I hope you have a wonderful Saturday. And here's to you. It's Saturday. And I'll see you guys a little bit later today. We'll be posting pictures, and I posted stuff in the story last night before I turned in, and it's farm wife life around here, and that don't stop. I also have a dear friend. Oh my gosh, I can't even tell you how much I love this girl who called yesterday, and she's here seeing her family. She has the most precious daughter. Her name's Harper. And I hope that Tony, Terrain, she's coming by. It ain't Terrain anymore, it's Chavis. But anyway, they're going to come by and bring Harper, who cooks. And I think Harper's probably, I'm guessing, 4th grade. Adorable. and so smart, and she can cook anything. I've seen her cook coconut cream pie. I've seen her do casseroles. I've seen her do salads. I've seen her... Anyway, they're going to come by and say hello this morning and visit for a few minutes, and I'm looking forward to that. And anyway, I'll see you guys. And good morning, Mama. My mama will see this when she gets up. Good morning, Mom and Daddy. I love y'all, and I am going to bring Janet to see y'all. I hope y'all have a wonderful, wonderful day, and we'll see you soon. Bye now. Good morning, everyone. Sleepyhead is up. How many times do you think Lisa texts me in the morning?
You up,
It's just like being home in Canada. That's my wake-up call, Lisa texting me. And it happens here in the farmhouse, too. I got the bed head going on, you know, the nighty's still on, Lisa style. So, she's messaging me this morning like, are you up? Are you awake? And I'm like, I'm working. She goes, you're working? I should have known you were working. I've got all the gadgets and the laptop in there in the bed trying to make sure that Replacements is tagged on all of the videos and getting the last couple of videos finalized to put up today. I just put 2 more up. And there's a couple more coming, and they're all fascinating. They're good sit and watch. You may need a little popcorn because there's a few of them.
Or some coffee.
Yeah, or coffee, which Lisa just had to put on a new pot for me. So just kind of reveling in what we went through yesterday. Years ago, I had this wonderful experience in the Middle East where they have that beautiful color of gold and a softer gold than we typically see people wear here. And I got to go inside of a gemologist's shop, and only Canadians were allowed in. The people from the country were not. Oh, she's going to turn the blender on.
Okay, just so you know.
Food processor. Anyway, I got to have diamonds, cut diamonds, just the stones. The diamonds were run along the crevice of my fingers, all the different cuts, not in settings yet. And I would go from cabinet to cabinet, and there would be a gemstone of displayed jewelry in each cabinet, and then you pull the drawers out down below, and the stones would be there that you could play with in your hands. Now, mind you, I had to go through about 3 different doors of security to get into this place. And as a Canadian consultant, we were allowed to go in and be served and order custom jewelry, and that the rest of the people from the country weren't allowed to do because it had to go directly to the stores, the jewelry stores, for them to purchase. But it was such an amazing experience to be right there with the gemologist who had won an award and has a stone displayed at the Smithsonian. It was a man from Texas who was running the shop with his wife from Jordan. So that was so long ago, and it was such a unique experience. But when I was at Replacements yesterday, I kept thinking back to that because it was equally as special yesterday, the way that we were received, the way we were able to touch and feel and try on the different pieces of jewelry. And to kick off our day that way was amazing. But then that was just the beginning. I mean, hearing the story, which I'm about to post, about the history of the development of Replacements Limited and the humble beginnings and the passion that led to what became an international multi-million-dollar business. You know, it's just amazing when people follow their heart and do what they love. And every part of that building is an expression of that, from the care and attention to the way it's set up and run, to the way they treat their staff, to their philanthropic efforts to give back to community. And they're thinking of all different members of community in the way they reach out to support their neighbors and the world, kind of thing. So, and lots of oohs and ahs too, as historically I was reaching back to different people's tables where I've sat and, you know, love their china and their crystal and their silver, or their ornaments around their homes. Like, I just went back through the decades at different aunts and what they collected, or
not to mention the $53,000 necklace. Yes, the $53,000 or $54,000 necklace.
That was, oh my Lord.
And 81 million pieces in their inventory, and all cataloged and computerized. And the massive amount of technology that it takes to run that business. So, yeah, so multifaceted. What we were learning yesterday, I felt like I was filming a documentary. And that's why I say you might need your popcorn. Mind you, the video I just finished is only 13 minutes, so you won't, you can get up and take a break in between and stretch your legs. So Lisa, I get up this morning and Lisa is here in the middle of the Aunt Libb's spaghetti sauce. Look, the amount of tomatoes that came in last night and what she's cutting. It's a mammoth task, I believe. And I got to get you flipped around here so you can see what she's all about at this stage of the game. Are you going to clip that in the holder, Lisa?
Can you flip it? I don't know. I am doing Aunt Lib's spaghetti sauce because the thing about tomatoes is they're definitely weather. It depends on the weather as to how many we're going to have and how many we're going to be able to put up. Let me just... Anyway, Janet and I talk about Aunt Lib a lot because Janet's a retired teacher, and so was Aunt Lib. And the thing I remember about her is, well, I remember lots about her, but when I was up in the mountains seeing her when we were first married, she was one of those people that she continuously was in motion, but she never got in a hurry. Like she wasn't, juking and jobbing like this. But she got a ton of stuff done in the kitchen where we didn't even know what she was doing. She was just doing her thing. And one of the things she loved to do was can. And she shared her recipe with me, which is on the page. It's Aunt Lib's spaghetti sauce. It's amazing. It's an amazing recipe. It's just enough sweet, just enough savory, in my opinion, per my palate. And I love to make it because I like to share it with Drew if he wants to take some to his house. And you can freeze it or you can can it. That's totally up to you. Or you could just make a batch of it if you've got a bunch of tomatoes. You just have to do the math, to see what quantity of salt and sugar and spices and tomato paste and all those things that go in it. But I always have the best time reminiscing and thinking about Aunt Lib while I'm doing these tomatoes because I just loved her dearly. I mean, she was a very strong force in my life for many years. As she got older, they moved here. She and Uncle Eddie moved here so that we could help, look after them. And then when she was diagnosed with cancer, I always thought what a good example she was to me, to anybody that she was around, because I never heard her complain. Mm-hmm. And with diseases like that, you have pain, but she didn't complain about pain. Mm-hmm. And I took her back and forth to doctor's appointments, and we would go to the mountains so she could be in her home city, and we just had the best time. And I learned a ton from her. And because she was such a great teacher, she taught elementary school, but because she was such a great teacher and had that heart for kids, she could explain things where I could understand them. Like a recipe or a process or whatever. So a lot of my recipes and what I do are because of watching her and how she did it, which I think is great. That's why I love, love, love to see children getting in the kitchen with grandma or mom or aunt or whomever, because if the person that is sharing the recipe with you, if you don't write it down and hang on to it, when they're gone, the recipe's gone. So I think that's very important to understand as far as my recipes go, especially the ones in Granny's Farm to Table. They are all very near and dear to my heart, people that I love and care for that let me use their recipes all these years. So I'm just putting the tomatoes through the food processor, cutting off the bad spots of the tomatoes. I'm using Roma tomatoes. If you want to put up spaghetti sauce or salsa, I do recommend Romas because when you cook them, they're less watery. So you don't get that real soupy effect in your sauces with aromas. So yeah, that's what we're doing.
And this morning when Harper gets here, I can hardly wait to talk to her, this young girl who's been doing cooking. We looked at some of her videos last night that she puts on her mom's page.
She's amazing.
She's just a little pro, and I can hardly wait to hear about her inspiration and how she thinks through her presentation on her videos, and beautiful, gorgeous photos of her food, the displays, the plating, just attention to detail all the way through. So
and the she does a lot of like what we would consider difficult recipes, which always impresses me because they're multi-step processes and lots of ingredients. And I admire her parents because they are the ones that have to do the run into the grocery store to get all this stuff, and they really promote healthy eating in their home.
Yes.
So her recipes, even though we saw a coconut cream pie, which was not, it was the classic coconut cream pie.
Right.
A lot of Harper's cooking is done in a healthy way. Less salt, less sugar, less fat. And y'all will see that when you see a picture of Tony, because Tony is very physically fit, and she watches what she eats and she exercises. She always has ever since I know her. I'm going to grab another cup of coffee, Janet, and fix you one.
Okay, sounds great. So every day just seems to be packed with activities and people. Lisa always says to me, "What do you want to do while you're here?" And I always say, people. That's what I want to. I want to see the people whose faces I edit back home in Canada, who come to Lisa's kitchen to cook with her, and I play with the videos and describe them, and I move them, from Facebook over to YouTube, and I do all that work with all of the people that are in her day-to-day living, her friends who pop by, her family. And then when I come down here, they've heard my name, and then I get to meet up with them. And now for most of them, it's the second time round because it's my second visit. And that's what warms my heart. Not my last. No, not my last. So that's what warms my heart first and foremost. She names all these touristy things we could do. And I always say, yeah, if it fits in, we can do that. Because of course I want to know North Carolina. But it's the people that come first. And it was so much fun to have breakfast at Pete's, to get back to Pete's Grill again. But most especially fun yesterday to get to see Vicki Engel again. Look, got my pottery mug for my coffee this morning.
Special face one.
Yes. Everyone here is just so gracious and so welcoming, and they really feel like family, to tell you the truth.
That's because we try to put on the dog, Janet.
The
Do you know
dog,
what that is?
the D-A-W-G.
The D-A-W-G,
yes.
Which is what we Southerners refer to as putting on the dog, is getting your best stuff out, getting your best recipes or the best restaurants. And Pete's Grill by far is one of the best in this area. Yeah. For country cooking, home cooking.
And each night when Andy has come in, an imaginary farmer has come in from his day, after he gets settled in and has something to eat, I've had the good fortune of nestling into the living room and having a good old chat with him. At one point in time, I did a degree at agricultural college, so I love hitting him up for all the insights about agriculture here and farming and sustainability. And
he loves talking about that.
Yeah, and I'm very interested in how farming can still be passed down generationally, and that the everyday regular farmer can hold on to their farm, what they have to do,
right.
If they have to diversify or become a niche
That's right.
kind of farm, and where tech plays a role, what traditional techniques they can hold on to, what's going on with their mix of crops, how climate affects their crops. So yeah, we had a really good big old chat the other night about all of that. So
switch places with me, dear.
Okay, moving over.
Yep. Okay, I know I have to keep going because I've got stuff to do, y'all, so hang on a minute. people ask me all the time about this recipe. I get lots of questions about it. And people say, do you leave the skins on? And the answer is yes, I do. But you don't have to. You can boil them. And people ask me all the time, do you process all of the veggies that go in it? And I do. And y'all can see that it's very,
Oh, yeah, look how big that container
it's liquidy.
is.
Everything's chopped up and pureed.
I can't imagine how great it would be to have your own homemade spaghetti sauce where you get to control the amount of the ingredients. Like in my world, if I were to make that, I could control how much sodium goes
That's
in
right.
it, right?
And sugar.
Yeah,
That's right.
sodium and sugar and
the other thing is this. There's the other love of cooking for me is that you can taste it as you go.
right.
Like put your ingredients together, put the natural ingredients together first, taste it, see what it needs, because every tomato is different and every crop of tomatoes are different. And I say that about any crop that we eat. They're all very different according to what type of weather we're having.
Mm-hmm.
So we've had really great tomatoes this year. So, I love a tomato any way you want to fix it. But these are going into Aunt Libb's spaghetti sauce.
And those that we had yesterday on the omelet.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so juicy,
Mm-hmm.
Flavorful.
Mm-hmm.
I always find when I come down to a southern destination that there's a different level of taste to fresh produce
Mm-hmm.
that needs that extra sunshine,
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it was really great.
Yep. Anyway, y'all, we'll take you along as we're able. We're ready, willing, and able. We're going to sign off because Janet, bless her heart, she's right here, and I got to get busy over here.
And
she's going to...
I'm going to be teching because...
She's going to be teching while we're
honestly, Lisa,
tomatoing.
in her live this morning, I was watching her from in the bed, and she was talking about the behind the scenes. Well, putting together a vlog, it's kind of like an iceberg. You folks that are watching are seeing the tip of the iceberg. And the amount of editing and creative writing, promoting, publishing, all that, and then, every time tech changes, which is like, every other month, one of these
every other day sometimes.
one of these social media places that we post to change how they do things, and then you have to learn it all, and then I have to teach that to Lisa, and we have to work through issues.
Bless her heart.
And thankfully, it's like solving a puzzle to me, so that it feels like a game. To Lisa, it doesn't feel that way.
No.
And so
I'd rather be cooking.
yeah, so we have to, we complement each other very well in order to get through those challenging times when the tech is failing, and then we solve it, and then it feels like a big success, and we move on. So
Absolutely.
so yes, so there's I'll be sitting right here at the counter while she's cooking, and I'll have about 4 devices on the go, trying to get to our hot idea that we had yesterday. We almost got there to be able to announce, and we have one more leg to go.
I
So
think we could tell them that what we're trying to do, which we'll find success. It's just going to take some time.
well, all right.
We're going to sell cookbooks again online. They're limited quantity. We've had enough people that are new to the page that have not had the opportunity to purchase cookbooks. So we just got a few details to hammer out before it goes live, and when it does, we will let you know that it is live, and you can go on the website, the site builder site, and order your cookbooks.
Yes.
Yay!
Yes.
And this recipe is in Granny's Farm to Table. So there you have it.
Right on. Okay, everyone. Well, you will be checking in.
All right, guys, have a wonderful day. And if you have questions about Aunt Libb's spaghetti sauce, shoot them to us. We'll do our very best to answer them. Thanks for tuning in. Bye now.
Bye now. Hey, everyone. Lisa is in the final stages of Aunt Lib's spaghetti sauce, and she's doing the canning bit. We have had so much fun this morning with Harper and her mom, Tony, and her dad, Tony. 2 Tonys. And then we had little Gracie girl and Wyatt, the new baby of Gunny, and Mackenzie. Yeah, funny Gunny. And Mackenzie was here with the 2 littles. And you may remember her when she did the glazed Brussels sprouts.
Amazing.
Yeah, amazing. Back when the green that caught the boys' attention, wanted them to eat green vegetables. That Mackenzie.
That would have been Spencer.
Spencer, who
never ate green.
she converted him into eating green. So here we are in the kitchen now after all that busy morning, and we're getting the spaghetti into the jars. And I'm going to flip you around here. And there's Lisa.
Hey, y'all, what I'm doing is, because we had company, I used to think that you had to start the canning process and finish the canning process all together. But the older I get, the more I realize that you should take time when people come to see you. And now I'm going to start crying. When people bring their kids to come see you, you should take time to do it. So I turned the spaghetti sauce off. I'm heating it back up because I want to can it in my jars while it's hot. Because then my shortcut, which if you've never canned before, make sure you educate yourself on canning the food safety. But my shortcut is to can it while the jars just come out of the dishwasher. So they're clean, they're sterile, and they're hot. And the spaghetti sauce to be hot. And then I put it in the jars, and then I turn my jars upside down. And that's what I'm getting ready to do as soon as I get this pulled over here. And here's what I'll tell you about canning. I had a doctor's appointment actually this week about some problems I've been having with my arm and my wrist. And my orthopedic surgeon knows that I can and cook and keep it real and all that. And he said, you need to start wearing a brace while you're doing all this. Well, y'all can see I don't have my brace on. It just gets in my way. I mean, I don't want to not listen to the doctor, but good grief. So I'm just going to ladle this in. You always want to stir to the bottom when you're making fresh spaghetti sauce.
So there's been several people taste testing this morning and walking home with a jar of it, walking out the door with a jar of it. It is so well seasoned, the right mixture of sweet and herb, and yeah.
Just like it
I'm really hoping that it's on the menu at some point this weekend.
It's just like Aunt Libb. She was sweet enough, salty enough to take care of herself, rich and creamy and all those good things. So every time I smell this or I taste this, I think of her every single time. Because this was her recipe. And it's in Granny's Farm to Table.
I think the secret to anything you do is having at least the basics of the right equipment. So when she's setting these jars up and she's got funnels ready to go for 2 or 3 at a time.
It's so much quicker.
And
if you have 2 or 3.
the guests here this morning were remarking on the size of her pot. This great big pot right here. And then, of course,
this is called a Bluestone canner. I got this as a wedding present from Aunt Emily, who lives across the street, and also her husband farms, and she knew that I would be learning to can and preserve and all that as a farmer's wife. So it was a great, well thought out gift.
The other thing I hear Lisa saying to people who come in and out of the farm is, when I give you a jar of my cooking to take away, it's much appreciated if you bring the mason jar back, and then it can happen all over again.
Well, and I'll tell you this, Janet, in the height of COVID, it was so hard to find canning jars because there were so many people at home doing these garden projects and whatnot, and they were learning to can. And so it was hard even through Amazon to find canning lids and jars. So I covet my jars because I always tell who takes them home, I'm like, listen, I don't care if you fill it up with bubble gum, but bring it back. Bring it back. Bring it back. Okay, I don't know where my screw, oh, here they are.
I always love that little magnet gadget that you use to pick your lids up out of the hot water.
Awesome.
Such a simple little thing. There
This
they
is
go.
probably why my wrists hurt, Janet.
Turning, and
Just the turning and all that.
tipping, yeah.
All right, where's my lid? Okay, so I will leave those like that for about 15 minutes. Let me get right back here just a second, because once you start this process, you do need to go on and finish the process with hot jars and hot sauce.
How much did you give? 2 jars away this morning? 2 decent sized jars, wasn't it?
Quart jars.
Yeah. And then, I'm just sort of looking at how much we're filling up here.
Well, of course, Mackenzie gets one because Adam's the produce manager.
Yes. When Mackenzie showed up, I was like, are you on board for some of my oatmeal concoction? She's like, yes. When I come here, it's kind of guaranteed that I'm going to eat. This is the place to come eat.
I love it. And they're the next best thing for me having grandchildren, those 2 little muffins.
Those 2 children are so amazing. The little baby is 4 months old, Wyatt, and he's so alert. And then Gracie is all language and all independent, and yeah.
She said, "Me do it. Me do it."
Yes.
I gave her a cracker and a piece of cheese, and I was trying to show her how to put the cheese on the cracker, and we called it fancy eating. And she said, "Me do it." So she wanted to make her own cracker sandwich, honey.
She's very smart.
Very.
Yes.
And she calls me and Andy by name. She doesn't see us, all the time, but she remembers our names. Which I love.
So now we are at 1, 2, 3, 4 decent jars, and then a huge jar, and then the 2 that went out the door. I'm just kind of looking at the size of this pot, and then how many jars that loaded tomatoes made.
Janet,
it's
will
decent.
You give me those wide mouths, please? 1, 2, 3. Thank you. I'm going to reheat these lids, and I'm going to keep going here because this is on high. And I have a gas oven. Janet learned when she was in here cooking, when you have a gas oven, it's very different than electric because the heat is instantaneous. So you better be ready to roll once you turn your burner on a gas stove because it warms up very quickly.
Yes. It's amazing, the difference. Why do you turn upside down? Deborah is asking. You want to explain that, Lisa?
Sure. My Granny Ingle canned everything, Deborah, everything, because they didn't have freezers back then. And this is how she canned sauces or jams, and she would fill her jars and turn them upside down, and then that way the hot sauce is surrounding that seal like this, the red part. And then when you turn it upright, especially with tomatoes, because tomatoes are very acidic, when you turn it upright, 9 times out of 10 they seal. If they don't, you'll know it by looking at it. And what you'll need to do is hot water bath it. And you can look that up on all forms of social media or Pinterest or Google. I wouldn't even dare try to give those directions because it's step by step by step by step. But anyway.
And when you look either on our Facebook page or over on YouTube in the Canning and Preserves playlist, you'll see that there's certain recipes that Lisa will do this shortcut with, and others that she does right. the
green beans, never. Green beans, you always have to pressure cook them.
Yes. So it's best, as she always says, if you're new at it, to learn the traditional and safe technique first before you venture into any shortcuts. And even if you do the shortcuts, you've got to double check your work, make sure your food is not going to go bad or harm anyone.
That's correct.
So,
especially if you're going to give it away or if you're going to serve it to people that are outside of your nuclear family. Of course, you don't want to make your nuclear family sick either with, some kind of bacteria or whatever that's growing in your canning jars. So I do heavily advise anybody that's canning for the first time, you need to operate under those bylaws of what you can find online about food safety. It needs to be your utmost concern, is the food safety. Oh, Janet, we might have come out almost perfect here as far as how many jars I sterilized. I like to do these bigger jars too, y'all, because when I do have my family over, then I'll pull out one of these bigger ones.
Susan says you should give away a jar of your sauce. Yummy. We don't go that route because you get into liability issues that way. So everything that's cooked here is just kept amongst family and friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, I wouldn't want the responsibility for shipping something like this either.
Right. Yeah. And you know, when you get into that, you need a stainless steel kitchen. There's different regulations around sharing food under a business name, etc.
It gets real sticky real quick. I'm going to grab 3 more screw top, 3 more screw top lids.
Let's count the jars again. I mean, all into the numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them sort of medium large, 2 tall, and 2 more that went out the door. So that's a lot of jars of spaghetti sauce, but that was a lot of aromas. When those came in yesterday, I was like, wow, Lisa's got her work cut out for her.
It doesn't seem like such a big job, though, if you have things in between, you know, that you can take a break from it. That's just personal for me. If I feel like I'm overwhelmed, I'll go take a break.
Okay.
Which Jen and I are getting ready to do.
And you said it's about 15 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
And so you'll set a timer and you'll listen for it. Of course, if Cookie were in here, she'd let Lisa know because she barks to the pops.
Yes, she does.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to set this timer for 15 minutes, and then I'm going to clean up the kitchen so I can get to the baby shower on time.
Right
Thanks
on.
for following along, cooking, cutting up, keeping it real.
See you, everyone.